And we are here with a new series in FHM 11. This time we are using the New York Rangers, taking over for the Presidents, who were the GM for one season. They went 55, 22, and 5 with 115 points. It seems they've made quite a mess of things here, as there seem to be quite a few players missing. And not only that, but we also have the head coach as Alain Vigneault. We got the rest of the assistant coaches sorted out, but it looks like we're gonna have to deal with Alain Vigneault at least for this year, as he is contracted until 2025. I just want to say, as a Devils fan, before we get into this GM mode, I will be, it is my intention to win the Stanley Cup for New York City, for the New York Rangers. I feel like I need to wash my mouth after that. But we are going to nonetheless be taking this very seriously. This is a very serious GM mode, despite the, where we came from with the Presidents going on a one-year run. And of course, that was back on April 1st, so I don't think anyone was taking that seriously. Well, maybe Donald and Joe were, but still, you know. So with that being said, let's take a look at what we need. We currently only have Shesterkin in goal, so we're going to need to get a backup goaltender at minimum. Defenseman, we have 3 NHL level defensemen. You have Fox, Trouba, and Miller. Schneider has an open offer. It looks like the Presidents offered him an extension, and the same thing for Capo Caco, but we're still going to need more defensemen than that. You have Ryan Lindgren, who won't be well liked, so we're going to have to get rid of him. And we're also probably going to have to get rid of Trouba, because, you know, he won't be well liked. I don't like to have players like that on my team. And not to mention, he's got a cap hit of $8 million, so if we can move that contract out, I think that would help a lot. Obviously, Donald's not going to like either of those moves, but, you know, you do what you got to do. Let's see, who else is on side here? Will Coyley, I believe that's how his name is pronounced. I guess we could sign him. He's only 22. He's got the 3-star potential. How much is he asking for? 1.27 for 3 years. It's not bad for a player of his ability. I mean, he's young, so yeah, sure. May as well see how he simulates. Give him 1.25 for 3 years. Kako's already got an offer. Rempe, he's a 2.5-star ability, 3-star potential, 22 years of age. Tendency to disappear when the pressure is on. Don't like that. Do not like that. Big guy though, 6'8", 240 pounds. He only had 1 point in 34 games played last year for the Presidents. 53 grade. Yeah, I don't know about Rempe. I mean, he is young, but I mean, I guess we'll offer him a contract. He only wants 1.27, same as what's his name? Coyley. So I guess we'll offer him that. And we'll see how he does in the simulation, and we'll go from there. Besides those guys, there's Lauri Pajuniemi. He may have difficulty performing well under pressure. Don't really like his attributes, so I think I'll pass on him. Mac Hollowell, let's see. He does not handle big game pressure well. Don't like that. What about his attributes? Not really a fan. Matthew Robertson, 1.5-star ability, 2.5-star potential, 23 years of age. I mean, I could sign him as some depth, I suppose, but I wouldn't count on him being on the NHL roster, or at least not a regular. Oh, by the way, so this save file obviously was created in FHM 10, where the salary cap was still 83.5 million. Now it has been increased to 88 million, of course. So I have changed that to reflect the real life NHL. So it's now 88 million as the salary cap and 65 million as the salary floor. So just thought I'd address that so that it reflects the real life NHL. Anyway, even after all these guys signed, we're still going to need minimum 2 more defensemen after Schneider and Robertson signed. And then as far as forwards go, I mean, I think we're probably set, at least in terms of numbers. Yeah, Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Edstrom, Nash, Goudreau, VZ, Berard, Othman, Korsak, and Belzile. And I'm already pretty set on trading Lindgren and Trouba if I can. So yeah, we're definitely going to need a couple defensemen if there's any out there in free agency. Oh, there's Steven Stamkos out here in free agency. So is Sam Reinhart. Looks like the Presidents couldn't afford to sign him, but we do definitely have to focus on defense for now. There's Tony DeAngelo. I can't deny he's a good player, but I don't like this part of his personality. If he's on your roster, controversy will follow. Maybe bring back Brady Shea. Brady Shea is also in free agency. Spent the past few seasons with Carolina. He had a 65 grade in last year's simulation when the Presidents were still at the helm. He had 48 points in 76 games played. Good personality. And overall, I like his attributes. So yeah, I think I might go after Brady Shea here. Wants 5.42 for 3 years. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good contract. That's a pretty good contract for him. And since this is free agency, I'll bring him up to 5.6 for 3 years. Ask for a response, submit offer. So you have Shea, Robertson, and Schneider coming in on defense. Then you're going to have Trouba going out, as well as Lindgren. So actually, I think I might try to move Trouba right now, if possible. I'll just shop him and see what we can get. See if we get a pick back. Oh, we got a third from Vegas and from Toronto. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, he's a good player for sure, but at that cap hit, probably not. And you know what? The fact that we got any offers for him at all with his contract is kind of amazing. So I think I got to take one of these offers from either Toronto or Vegas. Yeah, I think I'll send him to Vegas. Accept offer. There you go. Jacob Trouba has been moved before we even play a single game, before we even simulate a single day. So, yep, there you go. He has been moved out. And now we're going to try to trade Lindgren. I can't get a fourth back, but I can get multiple fifths, it seems. Then again, I could give Lindgren to a non-rebuilder and probably get a little bit more back in terms of value. Okay, so it looks like Detroit might be willing to take him on. They're in need of left defenseman. He's a left defenseman, and they're at a balanced outlook currently. So I would imagine they'd be willing to give up a little bit more for him. Try a fourth? Nope. Okay. Apparently not. Actually, let's see if we can get a player back here. Maybe we get Jeff Petrie and as veteran for 1 year and retain half his salary. Yeah, so this'll definitely go through. We could probably even get a draft pick back as well. Yeah, I think this looks good. We'll go with the rights to Lindgren to Detroit in exchange for Jeff Petrie at 50% of his salary retained for 1 year. 2 fifth-round picks, one for this year, one for next year, and a 6th-round pick for this year. Offer trade. We'll see what they say. We're actually going to need one more defenseman even after all these transactions go through, assuming we get all the guys we want. Let's see. There's Noah Hannafin. He had a 67 grade last year for Calgary. 30 points in 82 games played. Some decent ratings in there overall. Very well rounded. Yeah, I think I might want to go after Noah Hannafin, cap allowing. But you know what? Before we do that, let's just let all these transactions go through, and then we'll see how much cap we have remaining, because I don't know if we're going to be able to afford someone like Hannafin after all these offers go through. Because we're currently at the salary cap floor at 65 million, but I still, that's a lot of transactions, so I want to be sure as to how much money we have left before I go after someone like Hannafin. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, the Presidents traded our 1st-round pick for this year in exchange for Sam Reinhart, and he's not even on the team anymore. How much is he going to want? 6.8 for 3 years and a no movement clause. How'd he do last year? I mean, he was really good last year. He had 76 points total between Florida and New York, 64 grade overall. Yeah, they traded Zach Jones and 2 first-round picks. One for this year, one for next for Sam Reinhart. Let's see how Jones is doing. Looks like he had 4 points in 12 games played and a 64 grade for Florida last year. Don't know how Joe feels about that one. But I think regardless, we're going to have to simulate ahead here and see where we're at for the cap. All right, the Detroit Red Wings have accepted our offer of the rights to Ryan Lindgren in exchange for Petrie at 50% of his salary retained, 2 fifths, and a 6th complete trade. There it is. So we got a defenseman on our roster now. And now it's time for the draft lottery. Oh yeah, right. So we have, instead of the Utah Hockey Club, we still have the Utah Yetis in here, as again, this was made in FHM 10, and I just had them default to replace the Coyotes instead of the Utah Hockey Club. So that being said, let's go through the draft lottery. At number 16, you have Carolina, followed up by Philly, Buffalo, Chicago, Nashville, the Islanders, Columbus, Minnesota, Calgary, Montreal, Philly, Utah, Chicago, Anaheim at number 3, and at number 1 will be Boston, followed up by San Jose. I actually was going to end up doing the Rangers GM mode after the Capitals GM mode, because that was when the Presidents did their little run, was towards the end of the Capitals GM mode. But then the whole Arizona situation happened. I was like, I should probably give them a good send-off. So I ended up doing Arizona instead. But now that we have given Arizona a Stanley Cup and sent them off on a good note, I figured it is time to use the Rangers here. So as we go into the draft, we are not picking until pick number 60, and there is still Nikita Artamonov available. I like his personality. Attributes are overall pretty solid. He's already a 2-star ability. 55 points last year in the KHL and 68 games played, 64 grade. Yeah, I mean, he would be the best pick here, I think, considering he's already NHL ready. He's got that potential as well. Yeah, I think Artamonov's got to be the pick. Welcome to New York, Nikita Artamonov. I think next I want to take Tuomas Suoniemi. He's got a good physical category. His strength's a little bit low, but I think he can work on that. His defensive ratings aren't particularly great, but his offensive ratings look like they could be something. Mental ratings aren't too good either, but he does look pretty interesting overall. And he's got a good personality. I like his personality, so we will be taking Tuomas Suoniemi. Gotta get used to saying his name. Welcome to New York. I think next I'll take Samuel Fiala. Got a good personality, like his personality a lot. 86 points last year in the QMJHL and 65 grade. And his attributes overall are pretty solid, and he's already a 1-star ability, 3-star potential. So I think we'll be taking Samuel Fiala here. Welcome to New York. I think next I'll be taking Matthew Soto. He's 18 years of age, right wing, 1-star ability, 3-star potential, some decent offensive ratings, decent physical ratings, which his strength was a bit higher, but overall looks like he could be something decent. So Matthew Soto, welcome to the New York Rangers. Pick 156. I think I'll take Adam Yeko, 6'5", 18 years of age, half-star ability, 3-star potential. Got some good offensive ratings in there, 16 balance, 13 team player. Defensive category isn't great, but you know, we're at that point in the draft now where nothing's really going to be too eye-catching, so I think we'll take a chance on Adam Yeko. Welcome to the New York Rangers. All right, we're at pick 180 now. I think we'll take a chance on Zachary Sharp. He's got 16 puck handling as a left defenseman, 19 years of age, half-star ability, 3-star potential, 14 shot blocking, 14 stamina, 13 strength. I think he could turn out to be something. So Zachary Sharp, welcome to the New York Rangers. And is that it? No, I think this is our last pick though, as we are at 188 now and we do not have a 7th. And I think with this one, I will take Julius Miettinen. He's got a good personality, like that. Ratings are pretty solid for this point in the draft. Defensive ratings aren't quite where I would want them to be, but, you know, once again, this late in the draft, that's to be expected. 64 grade last year with Everett in the WHL with 55 points and 67 games played. And he's 6'4", so big guy. So we'll be taking Julius Miettinen with his pick. Welcome to the New York Rangers. And that should just about do it. Yes, indeed. Ooh, Sam Reinhart. He signs with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But the good news is that we did get all of Brady Shea, Capo Caco, Braden Schneider, Matthew Robertson, Matthew Rempe, and Will Coyley. So we now have a full roster of 23 players. Although, of course, we do still need a backup goaltender and also a 7th defenseman. So probably a few too many forwards there. Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Mr. Noah Hannafin was signed, but there's still Eric Gustafsson. He, of course, was with the Rangers last year. He had 40 points in 80 games played, 69 grades, so he didn't do too bad. So we may as well just go back after him. He wants 3.7 for 2 years. I will definitely do that. Take him up to 3.9, I think. That'll be a good offer for him. And then we also still need a backup goaltender. Most of the guys on this list here are pretty expensive, except for Laurent Brossoit. He only wants 2.1 for 3 years. I think I'll go for 2 years, see if he'll do that. Now I'll take him up to 2.5. No, he really wants that 3 years. All right, I'll go 2.4 for 3 years then. And I think between Brossoit and Gustafsson, that should take us somewhat close to the cap ceiling, which is 88 mil. All right, there you go. Eric Gustafsson is back on the Rangers and Laurent Brossoit is our backup goaltender. So I think with that, we officially have our roster filled out. We just need to cut one more player here. And I think that's going to be Korzak. I don't really like his defensive ratings for being only a 2-star ability. So I think he could use some top 6 time down there in Hartford. And with that being done, we are now at 23 players on our roster. We are within the salary cap limits. We are at 86.19 million. And I believe this will be our roster heading into year number 1 with the New York Rangers. Obviously, you have Shesterkin, very good goaltender, but it is worth noting that his contract is coming up this year and he wants 11 mil for 7 years. That is quite the ask. We're going to have to see what the deal is with Shesterkin prior to the trade deadline for sure. I mean, if he could keep up the numbers that he had last season, then I think we're going to have to give him that contract because, you know, stability in goal, very important. And then Laurent Brossoit, who we just signed in 19 games played last year with the Winnipeg Jets, he had a .905 save percentage. So as long as he can provide some decent backup goaltending for us this year, then he should be okay. And on defense, you have Adam Fox, obviously a very good offensive defenseman, 9.5 in cap hit for the next 5 years. Then you have Brady Shea, who we just signed, cap hit of 5.6 for the next 3 years, a solid 2-way defenseman. And then you have K. Andre Miller, good defensive defenseman, physical ratings are solid, mental ratings are solid. I really like him. Personality is good, so we'll see how he simulates this year. Then you have the newly acquired veteran Jeff Petrie, good at checking, good at stick checking, good stamina at 16. Mental ratings are all pretty good, very well rounded in general. Obviously, he's not going to be around for too long, but I wanted to see if we could bring a veteran on board to see what we can do in the playoffs. Then you have Eric Gustafsson. Looks like he's more of a offensive defenseman. He's got that passing and puck handling at 17. Team player at 16. Stamina is at 16. Defensive ratings are serviceable. And then you have Braden Schneider, 22 years of age, 2-star ability, 3-star potential, solid defensively. Physical ratings are pretty good as well. Mental rating's pretty good. Probably not going to be getting too many points, but, you know, as long as he's doing his job defensively, I don't care about that. And then you have Matthew Robertson, who is our 7th defenseman, 1.5-star ability, 2.5-star potential. Looks like more of an offensive guy. Personality is not great, but it's not bad either. So that is our defensive core. And moving on to the forwards, you have Artemi Panarin, 32 years of age, 5-star ability, very good offensive player. As I'm sure we all know, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Then you have Mika Zibanejad, who's got the 6-year deal and the no movement clause. So we're going to have to pay attention to him and see how and when he regresses. But for the time being, he's a very good player, and hopefully we can get as much use out of him as we can, and hopefully win a cup or two with him. And then you have Chris Kreider, who is on a 3-year deal worth $6.5 $7.5 million in cap hit. He's also got a no movement clause, so we're another guy that we're gonna have to keep an eye on. This is certainly an aging Rangers roster for the most part, for what we're seeing so far, at least as far as their core goes. Very good physical ratings, very good offensive ratings. Mental ratings are solid as well. Defensive ratings are serviceable. And he's got that hitting at 16 as well, so he should be a pretty good player for us for the next couple of years at least. And then you have Alexei Lafreniere, obviously one of the young guys on this team. Hopefully he's a key part of the future. It's like last year he had 42 points in 59 games played. So if we stretch that out over a full season, that's probably more around, 65 points, I would say. Hopefully we get something more or less the same out of him this year. Then you have Vincent Trocheck, 31 years of age, 5-year deal for $5.6 million. Once again, another guy who we're going to have to keep an eye on as far as his regression goes, because we're going to have to move him out probably at some point before that, especially considering the fact that he's only a 3-star ability right now. That's already worrying me a little bit, but we will definitely make use of him while he is good, as he does have that 18 positioning, 17 faceoffs, 16 hitting, 15 checking, good physical category, good mental ratings, and just all around a pretty good player. And then, of course, you have Capo Keko, 23 years of age, 3-star ability, 3.5-star potential. Physical ratings, mental ratings, offensive ratings, all pretty good. Defensive ratings are pretty solid as well, minus the hitting and faceoffs. Obviously, he doesn't really need faceoffs, though, as a winger. And hitting, I wish was a little bit higher, but that's really his only downside, I would say. Personality is pretty good, so we'll see what he can do this year. He had 37 points last year for the Presidents in 79 games played and a 57 grade. Then you have Riley Nash, 35 years of age, on a minimum deal. 2.5-star ability, 2.5-star potential. Obviously, the potential doesn't really matter much for him. Not really much of an offensive guy, doesn't look like. Definitely more of a defensive center. I would imagine he'll be our 4th-line center, at least for this year. Then you have mental ratings are pretty solid. Physical ratings are serviceable, I would say. And he's got a good personality as well. Then you have Barclay Goudreau. I would say he'll probably be 3rd-line center, because I like his physical ratings over Riley Nash. Mental ratings aren't as good, but I do like him a little bit more than Riley Nash, I would say. Good screener, good hitter, good positionally, decent personality. He's making 3.6 on his cap hit for the next 3 years. And once again, another no trade clause. So certainly had a lot of no trade and no movement clauses on this team. Then you have Adam Edstrom. Looks like more of a defensive forward here. Pretty good mentally. Some solid physical ratings in there. Agility is a bit low. Can't imagine he'll be getting too many points with that offensive read at 11 and passing at 11. Last year for the Presidents, he had 32 points in 77 games played and a 58 grade. And then you have Matthew Rempe. Very high strength and balance. Good checking rating. Good hitting at 16. Screening at 16. Mental ratings are also pretty good. And then not to mention very big guys, 6'8" and 240 pounds, and at a salary of 1.26 for the next 3 years. However, we saw this before, and it's worth mentioning that he does not handle big game pressure well, so that's certainly something to keep in mind for the playoffs. Then you have Jimmy Vesey, who is a solid defensive forward at 31 years of age on a 1-year deal. Physical category is pretty good. Mental category is pretty good. Offensive ratings, I would say, are serviceable. So his best category is certainly defense there. Then you have Brett Berard, who is 21 years of age, 2-star ability, 3-star potential, as well as a playmaker. Certainly looks like a more of an offensive forward there based on his ratings. Then you have mental ratings are pretty solid. Physical ratings, strength's a bit low, but everything else is pretty good. Defensive ratings, definitely not going to be counting on him defensively from much. He's got a 15 hitting rating though. But he won't be well liked. Yeah, I think I'm going to trade him. I don't like having those kinds of players on my team. And then you have Brennan Othman, 21 years of age, 2-star ability, 3-star potential. It's like a bit more of a offensively based forward here, positioning at 14. Physical ratings are pretty well-rounded. Mental ratings are pretty well-rounded as well. Nothing really too concerning about him overall. So I guess we'll see how he does. And then you have Will Coyley, 22 years of age, 2-star ability, 3-star potential. Has him listed as a grinder, which I would tend to agree with. Mental ratings are pretty good. Offensive ratings are pretty good. Physical ratings definitely could be better. His agility in particular could be a bit higher, I think. Defensive ratings are serviceable. Personality is okay. Nothing too concerning. All right, so who was it? I think it was Berard that had the personality issues. So I think we'll move on from him. And then I guess maybe I'll call up Bill Zile, who is 32 years of age. So he's probably doesn't have too much of a future here, but at least he won't be causing any issues in the locker room. So I'll call him up, and then I will look for a trade for Berard. All right, I think I found a pretty good trade here. I think we'll be trading Berard and Mac Hollowell, the rights to Mac Hollowell, to the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Ryan Donato, who is currently making $2 million on a 1-year deal. He's 28 years of age, 2.5-star ability, very well-rounded player. He had 42 points last year in the simulation with Chicago, 58 grade, and it looks like he'll be a pretty safe player all around to have in our top 9. So offer trade, and we'll see what they say. And there you go. Chicago has accepted our offer of Brett Berard and the rights to Mac Hollowell in exchange for Ryan Donato. Complete trade. And with that, we are Oof, I should have retained some salary. 100,000 over. But that being said, we do have too many players on the roster, so I'm going to send Belzile back down, and that should free up, yep, just enough salary. We're at 87.3 right now. Oh, right, I almost forgot you had Heedle on the injured reserve, who he just came back from that, actually. So we're going to have to free up some cap here somehow, because we're at 91 million now. So I guess I failed to consider that. So off to a great start already here. But I think Barclay Goodrow is probably going to be the one to go, because I think he'll clear up just enough cap. Ooh, actually, we're going to need to clear up 3.7. Yeah, there's going to be some huge cap issues with this team, especially once Shesterkin gets his extension. So I'm thinking Goodrow's probably got to go, if possible, because I know he does have that no trade clause. So I think I'll just search for a trade for him now, see what we can get. We can get a fourth back from LA or New Jersey. I'll just ship him off to LA. There you go. So with that, we are just short of 88 million. So I think for now, I'll send down one of our extra forwards. I think that'll be either Othman or Coyley. I think Othman could use some more seasoning in the AHL. We'll send him down, and that should bring us just below the cap ceiling. We're at 87.1 now. So with that all being done, this will be our roster heading into year number 1 with the New York Rangers. And into the Hockey Hall of Fame are Patrick Eliage, Jeremy Roenick, Curtis Joseph, and Bernie Nichols. Oh yeah, and as far as our Tamanov goes, I think I'm going to leave him in his current league for right now. I want him to get a little bit better over there. And besides that, you know, we got a full roster right now anyway. So I think it'd just be for the best if we let Artamanov play over where he currently is. Then we'll have to consider bringing him over next season based on his progress. And we can finally view that progress based on the development tracker that we finally have, which is long overdue. Very, very much long overdue. Thank you, FHM. This is very much needed. All right, let's take a look at the Prospects tournament where that was just held. You had a 6-1 win over Seattle with Sikora, Smith, Hoffman, Korsak, Yeko, and Fortescue scoring. Then a 4-3 loss against LA with Miettinen, Fiala, and Robertson scoring. Then you have a 3-2 loss against Columbus with Miettinen and Fiala scoring. A 4-3 win against Calgary with Biondi scoring in the first period. And Miettinen scoring in the second, and then in the third period you have Korsak with a goal. And the game is eventually ended with a shootout as Perreault and Soto score in the shootout for us. Then you have a 4-3 victory against Boston with Miettinen scoring his 4th of the tournament in the first period, followed up by Artamanov. And then you have Yeko and Suoniemi scoring as well. So it looks like Miettinen was a bit of a standout there. We'll have to keep an eye on him in the future. And now that we are in the preseason, we do have to set our captains, as obviously Jacob Trouba was our previous captain and he is no longer on the roster. So, I mean, I think it's got to be Adam Fox. I mean, he's signed to a long-term contract. He's a 5-star ability, 18 leadership rating. He had 62 points last year. So I think there's no doubt about it. Adam Fox is the captain of your New York Rangers. And that'll just about do it for the preseason. So we're going to check out the preseason stats real quick. Adam Fox, the captain, with 7 points. Then you have Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin with 6. Lafreniere with 5. Miller, Shea, Trocheck, and Schneider all with 4. So it looks like everything is going as expected so far, at least in the preseason. Shesterkin with a 952 in 2 games played. Unfortunately, Brossoit with the 862 in 3 games played. So hopefully he gets that together. But nonetheless, this is going to be our roster heading into year number 1 with the New York Rangers. You have Shesterkin and Brossoit in goal. On defense, you have Fox, Shea, Miller, Gustafsson, Petrie, Schneider, and Robertson. And at forward, you have Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Heedle, Kakko, Edstrom, Donato, Rempe, Veazey, Coyley, and Nash. So I think with that, we'll end things off here. It's already been a very eventful episode. And the next one, we'll start the year 1 simulation with your New York Rangers.